Hello guys, how it's going today? It's Christian from Emotions in Wine. So finally we start to talk about the other very important volcanic area of Europe, so Canary Islands, the most upcoming. Etna in Italy, in Sicily is already several years, let's say 20, and already at least 10, very famous, while this one is more upcoming in the last 5 or 10. Some new wineries because many farmers started to do more seriously, and now they start to be a bit of production because when I started to look into it, there was basically almost nothing available online, even in Europe, only in London and America. Now you can find some of these wines that I will talk about in 2 videos in Europe, in US, and also in Hong Kong, something I saw. So start to become interesting. So it's time to talk. I'm very excited. As you know, if you follow, I'm a volcanic guy. We spoke a lot about the Hungarian volcanoes, Etna, and now we are going here. There is a lot to talk. It's very various. There are many peculiar characteristics. There are 6 islands. It's not like Etna, which is one place only. There are many grapes, different training systems. This is the first chapter, and we're talking about the whites, of course, to start. So Canary Islands are part of Spain, as you know, but they are out of Africa, so even southern Morocco is really close to the desert, is subtropical in the Atlantic, very dry, little rain, but even that vary from island to island, windy, in the middle of the ocean, so of course a bit cooler in that. And then the altitudes due to the volcanoes giving more excursion overnight. So a lot of things play into it. It's a nice place because it's never cold but never too hot, which I was not sure before. Now studying, I realized that it goes rarely above 30. Nighttime drops further, winter of course is mild, so it's very stable. The only issue we can say for farming is the dry, especially on the eastern side, so those closer to the continent, while those more on the western side, more inner in the ocean, are a bit more wet relatively. We are talking about 500, 600 millimeters per year, which is still nothing. A lot of difference in the altitudes, as we will see, and a bit on the soils, because this is of course volcanic, but there are some other components. So we talk about the 2 main islands, Tenerife and Lanzarote. Lanzarote is the most northeastern, while Tenerife is in the middle near Gran Canaria. Tenerife is producing about 60% of the wine of the islands. The others make very little. So we focus on these 2 that are the most available, the most sourceable around, because there are few wineries, not that small, at least 10, 15, 20 hectares, so that you can find a bit around. One white is from Tenerife, one from Lanzarote. They are quite different in many things, we will see, so very interesting also that. So we have Puro Rofe, also the name of the wine, Blanco, 2023, Lanzarote Dio. There is only one Dio in Lanzarote. And then we have Suertes del Marqués, Trenzado Blanco, 2024, Valle de la Orotava Dio. There are 5 Dios in Tenerife. 13 alcohol here and 12.5 here. So they are different blends. Here, usually you have on the label. Here is Malvasia Volcanica, Diego, and Listan Blanco. Malvasia Volcanica in bigger percentage is the main grape on Lanzarote, while here is 100% Listan Blanco. Listan Blanco is the main white grape, is Palomino, the one used in sherry in Spain, but it's called differently, it's completely different. Palomino is never made in dry wines because it's very low in acidity and sugar, so it's perfect for sherry, but here is completely another story. The terroir driven characteristic of also this grape, like others, make it expressed in a completely different way with the volcanic, the minerality, the salt given by the volcanic and also by the sea. There is Listan Negro then, which is the main red grape, which is related to Listan Blanco, genetically, while the Malvasia is part of the Malvasia family, and there are several others, whites, but also reds. But reds, small percentages, majority is Listan Negro, while for the whites there is more variety. Even now in Tenerife there is really majority of Listan Blanco. On Lanzarote they have more various percentages. I start to pour them. They are open already a while. So the many different things we will see now. Altitude, first of all, Lanzarote is quite low. Is really like the moon. If you've seen the images, is really ashy and lapilli, dark color, especially in the central part, central west of the island, where majority of the vineyards are about 300 meters. That is the standard. Smooth slopes, and the terrain is interesting. They do pits, quite deep holes surrounded by the dry walls to protect from winds and to retain a bit of moisture. And the alberello, so the bush, is planted in the middle. It's very characteristic. That is a special landscape indeed, and that is used primarily there. Of course, you have a bit of classic training all around, especially newer vineyards. I forgot to say before, very important, prephylloxera, all volcanic, sandy. So there is all prephylloxera, nothing was touched. There are vineyards up to 200 years old, but majority are between 50, 100, 150. Here we don't have anything older, younger than 50. In this case, they are about 100 years old, all the three grapes. So very interesting. That is another special point because in Netherlands you don't have a big percentage of prephylloxera. Puro Rofe is a recent winery. They started 8 years ago or so. Seems there is no website working, so I had less information about them. Seems they do buy mostly from the farmers around. Majority is still that mechanism. Few wineries sourcing from the farmers, of course under their guidance. They are already well rated and well considered, so it seems they are doing things very seriously. They do organic, not certified yet. They use native yeasts. I see that in general these are all common characteristics. There is really a great approach to preserve and make healthy products. So admirable also for that. That locality in the middle of the island with this moon-like landscape is called Lageria, where, as said, most of the wineries are, including them. The island is not all like that. There is also some other soil, a bit of clay, a little limestone underneath, not just basalt. The colors, as you can see, they are very rich, quite gold already. Pretty similar, even if there is 1 year difference. Very intense. This is a bit aromatic indeed with the Malvasia. Some tropical fruit. The minerality is incredible, honestly. And also the salty. You smell it also. As hinted, this is due both to the volcanic soil and the sea. Basaltic and this kind of volcanic rocks give more. Natural, also smoky usually, let's see. So far is mostly all these range of fruits, mineral, salty, flinty, I would say more than smoky so far. So very nice, good intensity, elegant, very characteristic. I would say similar to Etna by a bit more in every bean. Remember also the importance of the old vines. That for me is a key ingredient of the recipe here. I think that will mark much more different because of the deep-rooted plants. A lot. Depth, length, reach. So it's refined, but Also quite intense. Also on the palate, you have salty, you have mineral, you have this sweet fruit, still tropical mostly. Yeah, it's food friendly, I would say, more than aperitif wine. Is fresh but already quite round, and of course can match a lot of seafood dishes, generic starters of many kinds. Yeah, the smoke is coming. The smoke is coming. His age 8-9 months in still. Yeah, usually the tropical notes can be too much. Here no. Now it's getting even more delicate, the fruit actually, and it's more the smoky, the mineral. Yeah, actually it's quite impressive. Only thing I can say is already a bit round, so I don't know if this can age well a lot. I was expecting a bit more potential, honestly, considering all these characteristics. I will do final round, and now we start with the second, which is more vibrant already from the first impression, you know. So, trenzado, what does it mean? Cordon trenzado is the typical training method in Valle de Orotava in particular. So this is in the northern part of the Tenerife island. In the middle there is the tallest volcano, 3000 something. And all around there are the vineyards in all directions, even south, surprisingly, but they're majority very high. There you have 1,500 meters high vineyards, the highest in Europe. That southern part is more for whites, but there are also some Listan Negro. But majority of the vineyards are in the northern part, so northeast, north, and west north. Majority of the wineries are there. Valle de la Rotava is very relevant for all whites and reds. There are several important wineries there, and there is this typical training system, which is a cordon with braided canes intertwined horizontally, very low, growing because it's very steep. So probably they make the plant go up the steep slope this way. I was surprised at the beginning, thinking that because it can be a few meters long. So I thought then too many bunches. Instead, all plants, the dry climate and everything, so the production per plant is still limited. So that is not affecting the quality of the grapes. In fact, here we are talking about up to 150 years old vines. This is really incredible, guys. Even in Etna or in other places, usually you have very little quantities, 100 something. Here is 60 to 150 old vines for this wine. The altitude varies. The valley goes from 300 to 900. In their case, they are a bit lower than the top, but this should go from 350 to 700. So different plots, and even this valley is divided in two parts. The western part is more favorable for whites, is more basalt and top sand, so more mineral and elegant, while the eastern part is more clay sand on top and bigger strata, so that is better for reds. So Listan Negro is mostly planted on that. So interesting even this, besides the altitudes, even sort of division into sides. Also, so you see that also here there are a bit of difference in soils in the whole island. The fact that there is basalt closer to the top increases also the acidity, which was, as I said, the lack of palomino. So in this case, we have a huge acidity given by the soil, basically, because the climate is not that cool, even if nights help with the excursion, but still, it's mostly the soil. And here is an incredible acidity. I was even surprised when I saw the data, considering where is the location. So that is quite impressive. So Suerte del Marqués is a bit longer around. They started in 2006. They have over 10 hectares and they still buy a bit from other farmers. Is one of the references. They also do indigenous yeast and as much natural as possible. Age in big casks for about 10 months before bottling. Here is really minerality and freshness coming immediately out on the nose. This is more refined nose also on the fruit. Here you have citrusy fruits, a touch of tropical also, but very delicate here compared to the other, so it's less aromatic, and a lot of citrusy. So really already indicating the freshness of the wine. We'll say flinty also here, it's not smoky yet. As said here, there is a bit more altitude, so that helps for sure even in the aromas, besides acidity and vibrancy. This has a bit less alcohol. Actually, it's leaving you very dry palate. Impressive. And nice citrusy, freshness, incredible. The minerality, some sweet fruit also after the citrusy. So very pleasant. Maybe it's a touch less long than the other, but much more refined. I invite you to give a look online. It's very interesting in all the aspects. Yeah, here the smoky is really just a hint. The other one has a bit more. Even if here the vines are older and there is the basalt closer to the top, less complex than the other. Now changing a bit the fruit spectrum, a bit more on those other light tropical, less citrusy. Used oak big, so that is not affecting much, is more for the micro oxygenation. Touch of herbs is there. Very refined, a lot. Quite impressive, honestly. This is a great aperitif. 12 IF, fresh, vibrant, cleaning. There is a touch of tannin from the oak, so giving a bit more even the dryness. But still you have the citrus and then a touch of sweeter fruit, so it's very, very nice. Just slightly less long than the other, but the other is quite rich. This is fantastic so far. Yeah, here is more aromatic, more intensity, a bit rounder, 1 year older, but I guess even the characteristic of the grapes, the acidity is indeed lower. Here we are talking about 6.6 acidity, which is a lot. On this one I was not able to find any information about that, but it's clearly lower. Yeah, it's not showing more, but good complexity so far. A touch of herb, but really a hint. But the mineral, salty and touch of smoky here is quite remarkable. Yeah, richer, rounder, good depth. Yes, indeed. Nice. But this is more food friendly indeed. While the other can be a perfect aperitif, but of course with seafood, lighter dishes, with simpler starters, even some light cold cuts. Yeah, very fine, honestly, nose. I'm quite impressed. Both very good, but this one is more impressive. Changing. Ginger. A touch. Only the smoky is not that marking like the other. Even here with the basalt, I was expecting. And salty also less. Just a hint. Yeah, complexity, they are almost the same, we can say. So they are very different blends, different places, different altitudes. Sold similar but a bit different. Listan Blanco getting already interesting to me. I really like this expression. Very refined, classy, I would say. Good complexity. The acidity is something I love. You know if you follow. The other rounder, which I didn't expect already in just 1 year more. More aromatic, Malvasia is that. So a bit richer and more longer, but less vibrant. So really two different expressions. It's about the taste. Great wines, both. I'm quite impressed. More on the second, as hinted, and a good start for this new journey in the Canary Islands. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, especially if you tried already. If you tried others, so give even any other name. Very welcome, even for myself or for the other viewers. And see you next time, and salute.